This is Anfield Central, where Liverpool stories move fast and pressure never waits. Paul Scholes believes Arne Slot has only one way to save his job at Liverpool, and he admits he can't see it happening. At the same time, Xabi Alonso has reportedly opened the door to a new job as pressure continues to rise on Slot at Anfield. And that's not the full picture. Behind the scenes, Liverpool's right-back crisis is getting uncomfortable, and Slot's response to a question about Calvin Ramsey raised a few eyebrows. There's also fresh concern over injuries, with Slot finally breaking his silence on Jeremy Jackett, and the growing feeling that Liverpool's bad luck this season is more than coincidence. What does it all mean for Slot's future, and how close is this situation to boiling point? For the full context, the quotes, and the reality behind the noise, make sure you're subscribed to Anfield Central.
Paul Scholes says Champions League is Arne Slot's only way to save Liverpool job. Liverpool's defeat to Manchester City has dealt another serious blow to their hopes of qualifying for next season's Champions League, and the pressure around Arne Slot is beginning to intensify. The loss marked Liverpool's 8th Premier League defeat of the campaign, leaving their margin for error shrinking fast. While 5th place is expected to be enough to secure Champions League football, Liverpool's position remains fragile. With Manchester United and Chelsea both in action before the Reds' next play, Liverpool could find themselves drifting as much as 8 points off the pace before they even kick a ball. Against that backdrop, questions are growing around Slot's future at Anfield. The Dutchman's first season has failed to meet expectations in the league, and the situation has been made more uncomfortable by Xabi Alonso's sudden availability following his dismissal at Real Madrid. Despite public backing from within the club, including sporting director Richard Hughes and CEO Billy Hogan presenting a united front, former Manchester United midfielder Paul Scholes believes Slot has only one possible escape route. Speaking on the Good, the Bad and Football podcast, Scholes was blunt in his assessment. He said that at a club like Liverpool, losing 3 or 4 games in succession inevitably brings pressure, and claimed that winning the Champions League may now be the only thing that saves Slot's job. Scholes went further, adding that while lifting the trophy could secure Slot's future, he simply cannot see Liverpool going all the way. In his words, the Champions League might be the only solution, but not a realistic one. That view contrasts with Liverpool's current European position. The Reds have already qualified for the Champions League last 16 and will be seeded for the knockout stages, a factor that could offer a more favourable draw and a clearer path deep into the competition. Winning the Champions League would not only deliver a 7th European title, but would also guarantee Liverpool a place in next season's competition, regardless of their final Premier League finish. Jamie Carragher, however, believes Europe represents Liverpool's best hope of salvaging what has been an underwhelming campaign. Speaking to Sky Sports, he suggested that nothing short of Champions League glory would make this season feel special. Carragher dismissed the FA Cup as insufficient, especially given Liverpool's recent league title and heavy spending in the transfer market. He argued that the squad is not currently built to handle the relentless physical demands of a Premier League title race. However, he pointed out that Liverpool look far more suited to the Champions League environment. With the intensity of knockout football, Anfield's atmosphere, and a front-foot approach, Carragher believes Liverpool could yet pose a serious threat in Europe. As the season reaches its decisive phase, the message is clear. For Arne Slot, the Champions League may now represent more than just a trophy. It could define his future at Liverpool.
Liverpool face growing pressure over Arne Slot as Xabi Alonso availability changes the equation. Liverpool continue to maintain faith in Arne Slot, but events behind the scenes are quietly increasing the pressure on that stance. At a club where every dropped point matters, even a defeat to Manchester City adds weight to the wider conversation. Slot can point to encouraging aspects of the performance, yet the reality is that another 3 points slipped away. With Champions League qualification now at genuine risk, the consequences of further setbacks could become decisive. For now, there has been no indication from Richard Hughes or Michael Edwards that Liverpool are ready to move on from Slot. However, a failure to secure a top 5 finish could become a factor that forces a decision before the season reaches its conclusion. The other major variable in this situation is Xabi Alonso. Within football circles, the former Liverpool midfielder is widely viewed as the standout candidate should Slot's position come under serious threat. There is a sense of irony in that view, given Alonso and Slot have endured similarly difficult campaigns. Both have fallen short of expectations, with the key difference being that Real Madrid's hierarchy is famously less patient than Liverpool's. Florentino Perez's decision to part ways with Alonso has left one of Europe's most highly rated young coaches unexpectedly available. Importantly, his spell at the Bernabeu has not significantly damaged his reputation, and his name is now on the radar of several elite clubs. Alonso is in a position to be selective. Anfield is understood to be one of the few destinations he would strongly consider, placing Liverpool in a relatively privileged position, but not a unique one. Manchester City are also monitoring the situation closely. Pep Guardiola's contract runs for another season, yet after a decade in charge, there is a growing expectation within the game that his time at the Etihad may be nearing its end. City's hierarchy are believed to admire Alonso, with the Spaniard reportedly on a shortlist alongside Enzo Maresca and Cesc Fabregas. According to Football Insider, Alonso would be open to such an opportunity if it arose. The same report suggests Liverpool would also be keen to move for Alonso if they decide to part company with Slot. That reality significantly raises the stakes, particularly given that a clear alternative now exists. Previously, the lack of obvious replacements provided Slot with a degree of protection. That safety net has largely disappeared, and there is a growing sense that Alonso may not remain available for long. Liverpool are fully entitled to continue backing Slot, especially considering he won the league only last season. The upheaval of a big spending summer and the tragic death of Diogo Jota are factors that cannot be ignored. Still, those at the top of the club will be aware they are approaching a critical stick or twist moment. With Manchester City interested and Alonso open to a move, Liverpool's window to act, if they choose to, may be far shorter than expected.
Arne Slot delivers blunt Calvin Ramsey verdict as Liverpool head into their Premier League trip to Sunderland with a major selection headache, as Arne Slot finds himself without 4 recognised right-back options. The situation worsened after Dominic Szoboszlai's red card against Manchester City, ruling out one of Slot's most used emergency solutions. Connor Bradley and Jeremy Frimpong are both sidelined through injury, while Joe Gomez remains a serious doubt as he races to regain fitness. Szoboszlai, who has filled in at right-back several times this season, is suspended following his late dismissal in Sunday's 2-1 defeat. With options running out, some supporters questioned why Calvin Ramsey has not been considered, given he's the only specialist right-back available. However, Slot made it clear that the 22-year-old is not in his plans for Wednesday night. Asked directly about Ramsey in his pre-match press conference, Slot delivered a sharp response. He said that when results don't go well, players who aren't involved often become the best players in the eyes of fans, insisting that perception applies everywhere in football. Slot added that his priority is protecting his players, stressing that he has consistently selected other options and intends to do the same against Sunderland. Ramsey has made just one senior appearance this season, featuring in the Carabao Cup against Crystal Palace in October, and has spent most of the campaign with the under-21s. The Scotland international has struggled to convince since joining Liverpool, having spent recent seasons on loan at Preston, Bolton, Wigan and Kilmarnock. His lack of involvement under Slot suggests his long-term future at the club remains uncertain. Attention now turns to who will fill the void at right-back. Slot is expected to choose between Curtis Jones and Wataru Endo, both of whom have previously played the role, while Gomez remains a late possibility. Providing an update on Gomez, Slot admitted the defender has yet to train with the squad and is only expected back for his first session today. He confirmed that if Gomez is not fit to start, Liverpool will be missing 4 players who have all played right-back this season. Injuries continue to plague Liverpool, and the weekend brought another frustrating setback. January signing Jeremy Jacquet, who will officially join the club in the summer after finishing the season with Rennes, was forced off in agony with an injury. Slot acknowledged the growing sense of misfortune around the squad, admitting it feels like Liverpool cannot escape setbacks even with players not yet wearing the shirt. However, he warned against focusing too heavily on bad luck. He pointed instead to recurring late goals conceded as an area that demands honest reflection. Slot said Liverpool have certainly not been fortunate, but questioned whether the issue is simply bad luck or something deeper that will be revealed over the rest of the season.
Arne Slot reflects on Liverpool's growing injury crisis as bad luck debate intensifies. Liverpool's list of absentees continues to grow, leaving Arne Slot increasingly short of defensive options as the season reaches a critical stage. Even January signing Jeremy Jacquet, who will not officially arrive until the summer, has now been added to the injury list. Slot was asked about Jacquet's situation after the defender suffered a shoulder injury while still on loan at Rennes. It comes at a time when Liverpool are already stretched, with several key players unavailable through injury or suspension. Connor Bradley remains a long-term absentee, while Jeremy Frimpong is also sidelined. Dominic Szoboszlai will miss the trip to Sunderland after his red card against Manchester City, further reducing Slot's options at the back. There was, however, a small boost, with Joe Gomez expected to return to training on Tuesday. Even so, Slot admits his choices remain extremely limited ahead of the midweek fixture. Speaking in his pre-match press conference, Slot acknowledged the sense of misfortune surrounding the squad. He said it feels as though Liverpool have been unlucky, pointing out that even a newly signed player who is not yet at the club has picked up an injury. At the same time, the Liverpool manager warned against leaning too heavily on bad luck as an explanation. He stressed the need to focus on what can be controlled, particularly performances and decision-making in key moments. Slot highlighted Liverpool's tendency to concede late goals as an example. He questioned whether those moments come down to misfortune or responsibility, adding that despite trying different solutions, the outcomes have not improved. With defensive options running low, Slot may once again turn to Curtis Jones or Wataru Endo at fullback against Sunderland. Calvin Ramsey remains another possibility despite his lack of recent first-team involvement. Slot explained that if Gomez is not fit to start, Liverpool will be without 4 players who have all featured at right back this season. He revealed the club has already used 6 different players in that position. Beyond selection issues, the wider league picture adds further pressure. Liverpool could slip even further behind the Champions League places if results elsewhere go against them before kickoff. A win for Everton over Bournemouth would see Liverpool drop to 7th, underlining how tight the race has become. Slot accepts that his side cannot afford many more setbacks. He admitted Liverpool now need to be close to perfect to make up the ground on the teams above them. Slot pointed out how quickly margins can change. With his side just minutes away from being 5 points behind Manchester City on Sunday, they now find themselves 11 adrift, reinforcing the urgency of the task ahead.